First days. The first few days were tough. I struggled to communicate, even for simple things like ordering food or asking for directions. I had never felt so out of place in my life. The language barrier made even the smallest tasks feel impossible, and I missed the comfort of speaking my own language. I spent my evenings in my apartment, wondering if I had made the right choice in moving here. Chapter 3. Making Friends. One day at work, I met Anna. She had been living in the city for a few years and understood how difficult it could be at the beginning. She invited me out for coffee, and for the first time since arriving, I didn't feel alone. Anna shared stories of her own experience moving abroad, and it felt comforting to hear that I wasn't the only one who struggled at first. From that day on, Anna became my guide, helping me learn the language, introducing me to her friends, and showing me the hidden gems of the city. Little by little, I started to feel more comfortable. Chapter 4. Learning the language. Learning the language was the biggest challenge. Every time I tried to speak, I worried about making mistakes, but I knew it was the only way I could truly adapt to my new life. I signed up for language classes, and though it was difficult at first, I pushed through. Slowly, I began to understand more conversations around me. I could order my coffee without feeling nervous, and I even started talking to the cashier at the grocery store. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Chapter 5. A Familiar Stranger. One evening, I ran into Sophia, a colleague from work. We hadn't talked much before, but we ended up sitting together at a cafe. Sophia had also moved here from abroad, and she understood exactly what I was going through. We talked for hours, and by the end of the night, I felt like I had found another friend who understood this journey. From that day on, Sophia and I became close, and I felt a little less alone. Chapter 6. Missing Home. As much as I liked my new life, I couldn't help but miss home. The hardest part was being away during holidays. My family would send me pictures, and I would feel so far away. I tried to stay connected through video calls, but it wasn't the same. Sophia noticed and reminded me that feeling homesick was normal. "Home is what you make it," she said one evening. It made me think differently about what home really means. Chapter 7. Finding my place. As time went on, things became easier. I learned the language well enough to get by, and I started to enjoy my daily routine. I found a cafe I liked, a park where I could relax, and even a few favorite restaurants. The city that once felt foreign now felt like something I could call my own. My friendships with Sophia and Anna grew deeper, and I realized I wasn't as alone as I had thought. I had found my place here, even if it wasn't what I had expected when I first arrived. Chapter 8. An Email Home. One day, I decided to send an email to my family. I told them all about my new life, about work, my friends, and how I was adjusting. Writing it all down made me see how much I had grown. Even though I still missed home, I was happy with the life I was building here. Chapter 9. An Unexpected Visitor. A few weeks after sending the email, my sister messaged me, saying she had booked a flight to visit. I was excited, but also nervous. It had been so long since we'd seen each other. When she arrived, though, it was like no time had passed. We spent the week exploring the city. I showed her all the places I had discovered, and for the first time, I was the guide. It felt good to share my new life with her and to see the city through fresh eyes. When she left, I realized how important the visit had been, not only for her, but for me too. Chapter 10. A Taste of Home. After my sister's visit, I started thinking about home more. I missed certain things, like my mom's cooking and the way my neighborhood sounded. So, one afternoon, I decided to cook a dish from home. It didn't turn out exactly the same, but it reminded me of my family. That night, as I ate, I realized that I didn't need to be in my hometown to feel connected to it. I could bring pieces of home with me, wherever I was. Chapter 11. Finding Comfort in Routine. As the months passed, I settled into a routine. I no longer had to think twice about where to go or how to speak to people. My work got easier, and I felt more confident in the office. Even though there were still difficult days, I started to feel like I belonged. The city, which had once felt so strange, now felt like home. I wasn't just an outsider anymore. I was part of the rhythm of daily life, and that felt good. Chapter 12. A New Opportunity. One day, my boss offered me a new project. It was a big responsibility, and I knew it wouldn't be easy. But I saw it as a chance to prove myself. The project involved working with local clients, which meant I would need to use my language skills more than ever. I was nervous, but I accepted the challenge. As I walked out of my boss's office, I felt a mix of excitement and fear. But I reminded myself that this was exactly the kind of opportunity I had moved here for. Chapter 13. Facing New Challenges. The project was harder than I expected. The clients had high expectations, and I struggled to keep up at times. There were moments when I wondered if I had taken on too much, but I kept pushing myself. Every day I learned something new, whether it was a language skill or how to handle difficult situations. Little by little, the project came together. It wasn't perfect, but it was mine, and that felt like a victory. Chapter 14. A Sense of Accomplishment. After weeks of hard work, the project was finished. The clients were happy, and my boss praised me. It was a moment of pride. I had not only completed the project, but I had proven to myself that I could succeed here. To celebrate, I went out with Sophia and Anna. As we talked, I realized just how far I had come. The city that had once made me feel lost was now a place I felt connected to. Chapter 15. Homesickness Revisited. Even with all the progress I'd made, there were still days when I missed home deeply. One night, after a long day, I found myself looking through old photos from home. The homesickness hit me hard. I decided to go for a walk to clear my head. As I wandered the city streets, I reminded myself that missing home didn't mean I wasn't happy here. I had built something special in this new place, and that was worth holding on to. Chapter 16. A New Sense of Belonging. Over time, I stopped feeling like an outsider. People in my neighborhood recognized me, and small interactions became familiar. The barista at the cafe knew my order, and my neighbors smiled when they saw me. It felt strange at first, this sense of belonging. But it was a good kind of strange. I realized that this city had become my home, not because it reminded me of where I came from, but because I had built a life here. Chapter 17. Unexpected Connections. One afternoon, while I was at a local market, I overheard a conversation in my native language. It had been so long since I'd heard it spoken naturally in a public place that I instinctively turned to find the speaker. To my surprise, it was a couple who had just moved here. They looked lost, a little like I had when I first arrived. I hesitated for a moment before walking over and introducing myself. It felt strange at first, offering help to someone else, but soon we were talking like old friends. I gave them tips on navigating the city, places to visit, and how to handle the challenges of living abroad. Seeing their gratitude reminded me of how far I had come since my own first days here. Chapter 18. Helping Others Adjust. Over the next few weeks, I stayed in touch with the couple. We met up a few times, and I showed them around the city, much like Sophia and Anna had done for me. It felt good to be in a position to help others. In helping them, I realized how much I had learned and how much the city had become a part of me. I knew the shortcuts, the hidden gems, and even the small quirks that made the place unique. I found a new sense of pride in being able to share that with someone else. Chapter 19. Looking Back. As I approached the anniversary of my arrival, I found myself thinking about the journey I had been on. The challenges, the homesickness, the victories, and the moments of doubt. It all came flooding back. I had come so far, and the person I was now felt different from the person who had stepped off the plane a year ago. I had learned more than just a language or a culture. I had learned resilience. I had built a life here, and while I would always miss home, I knew that I could thrive in this new place. Chapter 20. A Decision. Around the same time, I received an email from my family. They wanted to know if I was thinking about coming home anytime soon. It was a question I had been avoiding for months. Part of me missed home, but the other part of me had fallen in love with this new life. I realized that it wasn't a simple decision. Home wasn't just a place anymore. It was wherever I chose to make it. I spent the next few days thinking about what was next. Would I return, or would I continue to build my life here? The answer wasn't clear yet, but I knew that whatever decision I made, it would be the right one for me. Chapter 21. The Visit Home. After months of thinking, I finally made a decision. I was going home for a visit. It had been over a year since I last saw my family in person, and I felt it was time. The flight back was long, but when I landed and saw my family waiting for me at the airport, all the distance disappeared. Seeing the familiar streets, hearing the familiar sounds, and eating food I had grown up with felt comforting. But something had changed. This place didn't feel like home in the same way it used to. I started to realize that while I missed my family, my heart was now tied to two places. Chapter 22. A Different Perspective. During my visit, I noticed small things about my hometown that I'd never paid attention to before. The narrow streets, the way people spoke, and the rhythm of life, it all felt different now. I started to compare it to my life abroad. It wasn't that one place was better than the other, they were just different. But seeing my hometown from a new perspective made me realize how much I had grown and changed over the past year. Chapter 23. Old Friends. While I was home, I met up with old friends. We went to the same places we used to go, and it felt like nothing had changed. We laughed, shared stories, and talked about our lives. But deep down, I knew that things had changed. They were still living the same lives, while I had moved on to something new. I found it hard to relate to their stories, and they couldn't fully understand mine. It wasn't a bad feeling, but it made me realize how much my time abroad had shaped who I had become. Chapter 24. Saying Goodbye Again. As my visit came to an end, I had mixed feelings. It was hard to say goodbye to my family again, but I also felt ready to return to my life abroad. The strange thing was that leaving didn't feel as hard this time. I knew that I could always come back if I wanted to, but for now, my journey was continuing in my new city. Chapter 25. Settling Back In. When I returned to my apartment abroad, everything felt familiar again. The streets, the smells, and even the sounds of the city felt like home. It was strange how quickly I settled back into my routine. My friends welcomed me back, and life returned to its usual rhythm. The visit home had helped me see something important. I didn't need to choose between the two places. They were both a part of me, and I could carry them with me wherever I went. Chapter 26. Embracing Challenges. With renewed energy, I dove back into work. There were still challenges, of course. Some days the language was difficult, or I felt out of place in certain situations. But instead of seeing these as obstacles, I started to embrace them. Each challenge was a chance to grow, to learn, and to improve. I no longer saw the hard moments as something to fear, but as opportunities to prove to myself that I could handle anything that came my way. Chapter 27. A New Hobby. To take my mind off the stress of work, I decided to pick up a new hobby, photography. I had always loved taking pictures, but I'd never taken it seriously. Now, I had the perfect subject, the city. I spent weekends walking through different neighborhoods, capturing moments of daily life, architecture, and nature. Through the lens of my camera, I saw the city in a new way. It wasn't just a place I lived in. It was a place full of stories waiting to be told. Chapter 28. The Power of Routine. As the weeks passed, I began to appreciate the power of routine. Waking up at the same time, going to the same cafe, and taking the same routes to work brought a sense of calm to my life. Routine helped me feel grounded in this new place. It gave me a sense of control. Even when things felt overwhelming, I realized that while routines can seem boring, they can also create stability, especially when living far from home. Chapter 29. A Weekend Getaway. One weekend, I decided to take a short trip to a nearby town. I needed a break from the busy city life, and a friend recommended the town for its beautiful landscapes. The trip was exactly what I needed. I spent my days hiking through mountains and my evenings sitting by a peaceful lake. It gave me time to reflect on my journey so far, and I returned to the city feeling refreshed and ready to face whatever came next. Chapter 30. New Responsibilities. Back at work, I was offered a promotion. With it came more responsibilities, but also more opportunities. I would be leading a small team, and I felt both excited and nervous. It was a big step in my career, and it showed that my hard work was paying off. The promotion also came with challenges. I had to manage people from different backgrounds, which wasn't always easy. But it pushed me to improve my communication skills and to be more understanding of different perspectives. Chapter 31. Building Stronger Connections. With my new role, I found myself building stronger connections with my colleagues. I started to appreciate the diversity in our team. Each person brought something unique to the table, and learning to work together made us stronger. As my relationships with my colleagues deepened, I felt more connected to my workplace. It wasn't just a job anymore. It felt like a community. Chapter 32. Celebrating Milestones. As the year came to an end, my friends and I decided to celebrate. We had all come a long way since we first met, and it felt right to mark the occasion. We organized a small party, and for the first time, I realized just how much my friendships here meant to me. We shared stories of our challenges and victories, and it felt good to know that we had supported each other through it all. Chapter 33. An Unexpected Call. One evening, I received a call from my family. They had some big news. My sister was getting married, and they wanted me to come home for the wedding. I was excited, but also conflicted. Work was busy, and I had just taken on new responsibilities. But I knew that family was important, and I didn't want to miss such a special occasion. Chapter 34. Balancing Priorities. For the next few weeks, I struggled to balance my work responsibilities with the need to plan my trip home. I didn't want to let my team down, but I also didn't want to miss my sister's wedding. In the end, I realized that it was possible to do both. I spoke to my boss, and we arranged for me to take a few days off. It wasn't easy, but I made it work. It was a reminder that while work is important, family will always come first. Chapter 35. A Special Day. The wedding was beautiful. Seeing my sister so happy made the long trip worth it. I reconnected with family members I hadn't seen in years, and for a few days it felt like I had never left. But I also noticed how much I had changed. While I was happy to be with my family, I couldn't help but think about my life abroad. I missed my friends, my routines, and the city that had become my second home. Chapter 36. Returning with Gratitude. When I returned to my apartment after the wedding, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. I was thankful for my family, but also for the life I had built abroad. I realized that it was okay to have two homes, two places where I felt connected. Instead of feeling torn between them, I embraced the idea that both were important parts of my life. Chapter 37. New Challenges, New Growth. The months following the wedding brought new challenges at work. I had to deal with difficult clients, tight deadlines, and unexpected obstacles, but each challenge helped me grow. I learned to stay calm under pressure, to communicate more effectively, and to rely on my team when things got tough. It wasn't always easy, but I was proud of the progress I was making. Chapter 38. Looking Forward. As the second year abroad came to a close, I started thinking about the future. I didn't know where my journey would take me next, but I felt ready for whatever came my way. Living abroad had taught me so much about myself, about the world, and about what it means to truly call a place home. I was excited for the next chapter, knowing that wherever I ended up, I would carry these lessons with me. Chapter 39. A Chance Encounter. One afternoon, while sitting at my favorite cafe, I noticed a man who seemed to be searching for something. He looked around, checking every corner of the cafe before his eyes met mine. He smiled awkwardly and walked over to my table. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" he asked, holding up a book that looked very familiar. It was the same book I had been reading just a few weeks ago, about travel and self-discovery. We started talking, and what began as a casual conversation quickly turned into something more. His name was Alex, and he had recently moved to the city for work. We talked about our shared experiences of adjusting to life abroad, and before we knew it, hours had passed. Chapter 40. Something New. In the days that followed, Alex and I met up a few more times, and each time I felt something new growing between us. He had a calm energy, and his stories of life before moving here made me laugh in a way I hadn't in a long time. It was unexpected, this connection with someone who had only just entered my life. But there was something about Alex that made me feel at ease, as if we had known each other for much longer. I wasn't sure where things would go, but for the first time in a while, I was excited about the possibility of something new.
Being vulnerable, opening up, sharing our true selves takes courage, but it also brings strength. I've learned that when I allow myself to be vulnerable, I build deeper connections and find greater authenticity in my relationships. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a sign of strength and trust. It's a way of being honest with myself and others, and of embracing my humanity. The peace of mindfulness. Mindfulness is a practice of being fully present in the moment without judgment. I found that when I practice mindfulness, whether it's during a walk, while eating, or in a quiet moment, I feel more grounded and at peace. Mindfulness helps me to slow down, to appreciate the present, and to let go of stress and distractions. It's a practice that brings clarity, calm, and a deeper connection to life. The value of patience. Patience is a virtue that often requires practice. I've discovered that when I'm patient with myself, with others, and with the process of life, I experience less stress and more peace. Patience allows me to approach challenges with a calm mind and to trust that things will unfold in their own time. It's a valuable quality that helps me navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. The joy of exploring new places. Traveling to new places, whether near or far, brings a sense of adventure and discovery. I've found that exploring different environments, cultures, and experiences opens my mind and enriches my life. There's joy in the unknown, in stepping out of my comfort zone, and in seeing the world from a new perspective. The joy of exploring new places lies in the experiences, the people, and the memories that stay with me long after the journey ends. The calm of a rainy day. There's something soothing about a rainy day. The sound of raindrops, the coolness in the air, and the slower pace it seems to bring. I've learned to appreciate the calm that comes with rain, seeing it as a time to relax, reflect, and recharge. A rainy day offers a break from the usual busyness, a chance to cozy up and enjoy the simple pleasures of being indoors. The calm of a rainy day is a reminder to slow down and embrace the quieter moments. The importance of setting boundaries. Setting boundaries is essential for maintaining our well-being and healthy relationships. I've found that when I set clear boundaries, whether it's with my time, my energy, or my personal space, I'm able to protect what matters most to me. Boundaries help me to stay balanced, to avoid burnout, and to ensure that I'm living in alignment with my values. It's an important practice that fosters respect, self-care, and mutual understanding. The joy of trying something new. Trying something new, whether it's a hobby, a recipe, or an activity, brings excitement and growth. I've discovered that stepping out of my routine and experimenting with new experiences adds a sense of adventure to my life. It's a way of challenging myself, of discovering hidden talents or interests, and of keeping life fresh and engaging. The joy of trying something new lies in the discovery, the learning, and the fun of exploring the unknown, the comfort of familiar sounds. Familiar sounds have a way of making us feel at home. It could be the ticking of a clock, the hum of a fan, or the sound of rain against the window. These everyday noises often go unnoticed, but they provide a backdrop to our lives that's soothing and comforting. I find that when I pay attention to these sounds, they remind me of the simple pleasures of being in a familiar place. The beauty of a sunset. There's something magical about watching the sunset. The way the sky changes colors from bright orange to deep purple is a reminder of the day's journey coming to a peaceful end. It's a moment to pause and reflect, to appreciate the beauty that nature offers us every day. For me, a sunset is more than just a visual experience. It's a time to unwind and let. In the calm of the morning, I find clarity and a sense of readiness for the day ahead. The importance of small acts of kindness. Sometimes it's the smallest acts of kindness that make the biggest difference. A smile, a kind word, or a simple gesture can brighten someone's day in ways we might not even realize. I found that when I make an effort to be kind, not only does it lift others, but it also brings a sense of joy and fulfillment to my own life. Kindness, no matter how small, is a powerful way to connect with others and spread positivity. The art of being present. In a world full of distractions, being present can be challenging. But I've discovered that when I focus on the here and now, whether it's in a conversation, a task, or a moment of relaxation, I feel more connected and alive. Being present means fully experiencing each moment without worrying about the past or the future. It's an art that takes practice, but it's one that brings greater peace and contentment. The power of a simple smile. A smile is a universal expression of happiness, warmth, and connection. It's amazing how something so simple can have such a profound impact. I've noticed that when I smile, it not only lifts my own spirits, but also brightens the day of those around me. A smile can break down barriers, ease tension, and spread positivity. It's a small gesture, but one that carries immense power. The warmth of a cozy home. There's something incredibly comforting about a cozy home. Whether it's a warm blanket, a soft chair, or the smell of something baking in the oven, these little things create a sense of safety and peace. I've learned to appreciate the simple joys of home life, the laughter shared with loved ones, the quiet moments of solitude, and the feeling of being in a place where I truly belong. A cozy home is not just a physical space, it's a feeling of warmth and contentment.
The strength of community. Being part of a community gives us a sense of belonging and support. Whether it's a neighborhood, a group of friends, or a shared interest, community provides a space where we can connect, contribute, and grow together. I've found strength in knowing that I'm not alone, that there are others who care and who are there to help in times of need. Community is a source of comfort, encouragement, and inspiration. The calm of a quiet mind. Our minds are often full of noise, thoughts, worries, plans. But I've learned the value of quieting my mind. Whether through meditation, deep breathing, or simply taking a moment to pause, finding calm in my thoughts brings clarity and peace. A quiet mind allows me to focus on what truly matters, to let go of what I can't control, and to be present in the moment. It's a practice that helps me navigate life with greater ease and balance. The power of a positive attitude. A positive attitude doesn't mean ignoring life's challenges. It means approaching them with hope and resilience. I've found that when I focus on the positive, I'm better able to handle difficult situations and find solutions. A positive attitude lifts my spirits, motivates me to keep going, and spreads positivity to those around me. It's a powerful tool for creating a happier and more fulfilling life. The joy of giving. Giving, whether it's our time, our resources, or simply our attention, brings a unique sense of fulfillment. I've discovered that the act of giving not only benefits others, but also brings joy and purpose to my own life. It's a way of connecting with others, of making a difference, and of spreading kindness in the world. The joy of giving is a reminder that we all have something valuable to offer. The importance of honesty. Honesty is a cornerstone of trust and integrity. I've learned that being honest with ourselves and with others, even when it's difficult, builds stronger relationships and a more authentic life. Honesty means being true to our values, expressing our thoughts and feelings openly, and acting with sincerity. It's not always easy, but it's a principle that guides me in living the peace in acceptance. Acceptance is about acknowledging what is, rather than fighting against it. I've learned that when I accept things as they are, whether it's a situation, a person, or even myself, I find a sense of peace. Acceptance doesn't mean giving up. It means letting go of resistance and embracing reality. It's a practice that brings clarity, reduces stress, and allows me to move forward with a calm and open heart. The joy of celebrating small wins. Life is full of small victories that deserve to be celebrated. I've found that acknowledging these moments, whether it's completing a task, overcoming a challenge, or simply making it through the day, brings a sense of accomplishment and joy. Celebrating small wins reminds me that progress is made up of many little steps, and that each one is worth recognizing. The value of lifelong learning. Learning doesn't stop when we leave school. It's a lifelong journey. I've come to see every experience, every conversation, and every challenge as an opportunity to learn something new. Whether it's picking up a new skill, exploring a different culture, or deepening my understanding of myself, lifelong learning keeps me curious and engaged with the world. It's a reminder that there's always more to discover, no matter our age or stage in life. The beauty of diversity. The world is full of diverse cultures, perspectives, and experiences. I've found that embracing this diversity enriches my life in countless ways, whether it's through travel, conversations, or simply being open to different ideas. I've learned to appreciate the beauty in our differences. Diversity adds color and depth to our lives, and it reminds me that we're all connected, even in our uniqueness. The gift of a good conversation. There's something truly special about a good conversation. It's a chance to connect, to share ideas, and to understand someone else's perspective. I've found that the best conversations happen when we listen deeply and speak honestly. These moments of genuine connection bring insight, comfort, and sometimes even unexpected joy. A good conversation is a gift that can brighten our day and deepen our relationships. The magic of childhood memories. Childhood memories have a way of bringing a smile to our faces. They remind us of simpler times, of the joy of discovery and the innocence of youth. I often find myself reminiscing about the games we played, the friends we had, and the little adventures that filled our days. These memories are a treasure trove of happiness, a reminder of where we come from, and a source of comfort in the present, the peace in letting go. Holding on to things, whether it's past mistakes, regrets, or unfulfilled expectations, can weigh us down. I've learned that there's peace in letting go. It's not about forgetting, but about releasing the hold these things have on us. When I let go, I make space for new possibilities and for healing. It's a process that takes time, but it's one that brings a sense of freedom and peace. The importance of self-compassion. Being kind to ourselves is just as important as being kind to others. I've realized that self-compassion allows us to accept our flaws, forgive our mistakes, and nurture our growth. It's about treating ourselves with the same care and understanding that we offer to those we love. When I practice self-compassion, I find that I'm more resilient, more at peace, and more capable of living a fulfilling life. The joy of simple pleasures. Life is full of simple pleasures that bring us joy, like the first sip of coffee in the morning, the feel of sunshine on our skin, or the sound of a favorite song. I've found that when I take time to notice and appreciate these small moments, my days feel richer and more satisfying. It's a reminder that happiness doesn't always come from big events, but often from the little things that make each day special.
The comfort of familiar sounds. Familiar sounds have a way of making us feel at home. It could, and the way a story unfolds can transport us to another world. I've spent countless hours immersed in books, finding comfort, adventure, and wisdom within their pages. For me, reading is more than just a pastime. It's a journey into new ideas, places, and emotions that enrich my life.
1. The power of persistence. I've always believed that success doesn't come overnight. You have to keep going, even when things seem difficult. For me, it was learning to play the guitar. At first, my fingers hurt, and I couldn't remember the chords. I wanted to quit. But with practice, things got easier. After a few months, I could play a full song. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. Now, I know that persistence pays off. Whether it's learning an instrument, a language, or a skill, the key is to keep trying, even when you want to give up. 2. Moving to a new city. Last year, I moved to a new city for work. At first, it was exciting. Everything was new, the people, the places, and the opportunities. But after a few weeks, I started to feel lonely. I didn't know anyone, and it was hard to meet new friends. I missed my old routines and familiar faces. But slowly, I began to explore more. I visited cafes, joined local groups, and started talking to my neighbors. It took time, but now this new city feels like home. Moving can be hard, but it's also a chance to grow and experience something different. 3. Learning a new language. I've always admired people who speak multiple languages. It's like they have a superpower. When I decided to learn a new language, I knew it wouldn't be easy. At first, it felt impossible. So many new words and strange grammar rules. but I set small goals. Each week, I focused on learning a few phrases. Little by little, I started to understand more. One day, I found myself having a short conversation with a native speaker. It wasn't perfect, but I was proud. Learning a language is a challenge, but it opens doors to new cultures and friendships. 4. The benefits of volunteering. Volunteering has always been a big part of my life. It's a way to give back to the community and help those in need. I started volunteering at a local food bank a few years ago. At first, I didn't know what to expect, but over time, I realized how much of a difference we were making. People who struggled to feed their families were grateful for even the smallest acts of kindness. Volunteering has shown me the importance of compassion and teamwork. It's not just about giving, it's also about learning and connecting with others. 5. The importance of mental health. In today's fast-paced world, we often forget to take care of our mental health. For years, I focused only on my work and responsibilities, thinking that's all that mattered. But then, I started to feel overwhelmed. I wasn't sleeping well, and my stress levels were through the roof. That's when I realized I needed to focus on myself. I started meditating, exercising, and talking to a therapist. It wasn't easy, but it made a huge difference. Mental health is just as important as physical health. Taking time to relax and recharge is essential for a balanced life. 6. Traveling alone. There's something special about traveling alone. The first time I did it, I was nervous. What if something went wrong? What if I got lost? But once I arrived at my destination, all those fears disappeared. I had the freedom to explore at my own pace, without worrying about anyone else's schedule. I met new people, tried different foods, and visited places I'd only seen in photos. Traveling alone gave me confidence and a sense of independence. It taught me that sometimes the best adventures are the ones we take by ourselves. 7. Overcoming fear of public speaking. Public speaking used to terrify me. My heart would race, my hands would shake, and I'd forget everything I wanted to say. But it's a skill I knew I needed to develop. I started by practicing in front of a mirror, then moved on to speaking in front of small groups. The more I practiced, the more comfortable I became. Now, I can give presentations with confidence. The fear doesn't go away completely, but I've learned to manage it. Public speaking is a valuable skill, and it's something anyone can improve with enough practice. 8. The role of technology in our lives. Technology has become such a big part of our daily lives. From smartphones to smart homes, we rely on it for almost everything. On one hand, it's made life more convenient. We can stay connected with people across the world, access information instantly, and automate daily tasks. But it's also important to disconnect sometimes. Spending too much time online can lead to stress and anxiety. Finding a balance between using technology and enjoying real-life experiences is crucial. It's amazing what technology can do, but we have to remember to live in the moment as well. 9. The value of teamwork. Teamwork is essential in almost every aspect of life. Whether it's at work, in school, or during a sports game, working together allows us to achieve more than we could alone. I used to prefer working by myself, thinking I could do everything better on my own. But after being part of a few group projects, I realized how valuable teamwork can be. Each person brings something unique to the table, and together, we can solve problems faster and more creatively. Collaboration is key to success, and it's something I've learned to appreciate over time. 10. The power of positive thinking. A few years ago, I started practicing positive thinking. It wasn't easy at first. I was used to focusing on what could go wrong, rather than what could go right. But slowly, I began to notice a change in my mindset. By focusing on the positives, I felt more motivated and less stressed. Of course, life still has its challenges, but now I approach them with a more optimistic outlook. Positive thinking doesn't mean ignoring problems. It's about believing that you can overcome them. It's a small change that can have a big impact on your life. 11. Time management. Time management is something I've struggled with for a long time. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you have too much to do and not enough hours in the day. For me, the key was learning to prioritize. I started by making a list of tasks and focusing on the most important ones first. I also learned to say no when I needed to, which wasn't easy. Over time, I became better at organizing my day and making sure I had time for both work and relaxation. Managing time is still a challenge, but I've gotten better at balancing everything. 12. The joy of reading. Reading has always been one of my favorite hobbies. I love getting lost in a good book, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, or even a magazine article. It's like stepping into another world. When I was younger, I used to stay up late reading under the covers, unable to put my book down. Now, I make time every day to read, even if it's just for a few minutes. Reading helps me relax, learn new things, and even improve my vocabulary. It's a simple activity, but it has brought me so much joy over the years. 13. The challenge of staying fit. Staying fit is something I've always tried to prioritize, but it's not always easy. Between work and other responsibilities, it can be hard to find the time or motivation to exercise. For a while, I let my fitness routine slip, and I started feeling sluggish and tired. That's when I decided to make a change. I started small, with short walks or quick workouts, and gradually increased the intensity. Now, I make time for exercise at least 3 times a week, and I feel so much better. Staying fit requires discipline, but the benefits are worth it. 14. The value of education. Education is one of the most valuable things in life. It opens doors to new opportunities, helps us understand the world, and allows us to grow as individuals. I was lucky enough to have access to good education growing up, and it made a huge difference in my life. Now, I try to continue learning, whether it's through reading, taking online courses, or attending workshops. Education doesn't stop when you leave school. It's something we can pursue throughout our lives. I truly believe that knowledge is power, and we should never stop seeking it. 15. Coping with stress. Stress is something we all deal with, but learning how to cope with it is essential for our well-being. When I'm stressed, I find it helpful to take a step back and breathe. Sometimes I'll go for a walk or listen to music to clear my mind. Other times, I'll talk to a friend or family member for support. I've also learned to manage my stress by staying organized and not taking on too much at once. Life can be overwhelming at times, but having healthy ways to cope with stress makes all the difference. 16. The importance of friendship. Friendship is one of the most important aspects of life. Good friends offer support, laughter, and companionship during both good and bad times. I've been fortunate to have some really great friends in my life, and they've helped me through difficult moments. Friendship isn't just about having fun together. It's also about being there for each other when things get tough. It's a two-way street, and both people have to put in effort to keep the friendship strong. I truly believe that friends make life richer and more meaningful. 17. Dealing with change. Change is inevitable, but that doesn't make it any easier to deal with. I've gone through several big changes in my life, from moving to a new city to changing jobs, and each time it's been a challenge. At first, change can feel scary because it takes us out of our comfort zone. But over time, I've learned that change is also an opportunity for growth. It forces us to adapt, learn new things, and become more resilient. Now, I try to embrace change instead of fearing it, even though it can still be difficult. 18. The impact of social media. Social media has changed the way we interact with the world. On the one hand, it's amazing to be able to stay connected with friends and family, even when they're far away. We can share photos, updates, and stay in touch easily. But there's also a downside. Social media can sometimes make us feel isolated or like we're not doing enough, especially when we compare our lives to others. I've learned to use social media in moderation and remind myself that it's not always an accurate reflection of reality. It's a tool, but it's important to find balance. 19. The importance of setting goals. Setting goals has always been an important part of my life. Whether it's a personal goal, like improving my health, or a professional goal, like advancing in my career, having something to work towards keeps me motivated. I like to set both short-term and long-term goals, and I make sure they're realistic. It's easy to get discouraged if you aim too high too quickly. By setting smaller, achievable goals, I've been able to see steady progress. Reaching a goal gives me a sense of accomplishment and drives me to keep pushing forward. 20. The value of family. Family has always been a big part of my life. Whether it's my immediate family or extended relatives, I've always felt a strong connection to the people I grew up with. Family is there to support us, offer advice, and celebrate life's milestones. Of course, no family is perfect, and there are times when we argue or disagree. But at the end of the day, family is a source of love and stability. I've learned that it's important to appreciate and cherish the time we have with our loved ones, because family is irreplaceable. 21. The power of music. Music has always played an important role in my life. It's amazing how a single song can lift your spirits, help you focus, or even bring back a flood of memories. When I'm feeling down, I like to put on some of my favorite tracks and let the music wash over me. It's almost like therapy. Over the years, I've come to appreciate different genres, everything from classical to jazz to rock. Music is universal, and it has the power to bring people together, no matter where they're from or what language they speak. 22. Learning a new language. Learning a new language is one of the most challenging but rewarding experiences. I remember when I first started learning a second language. It felt overwhelming. There were so many new words, grammar rules, and sounds that were unfamiliar to me. But over time, I started to make progress, little by little. I practiced speaking, listening, and reading every day, and eventually, I began to feel more confident. Now, I can communicate with people in a language I didn't know before, and it's opened up a whole new world for me. It's a reminder that with persistence, we can achieve even the most difficult goals. 23. Balancing work and life. Finding the right balance between work and life can be difficult, especially in today's fast-paced world. I used to work long hours, often bringing work home with me, and it started to take a toll on my personal life. Eventually, I realized that I needed to set boundaries. I started to manage my time better, making sure I had time for hobbies, family, and relaxation. It wasn't easy at first, but I've learned that life is about balance. Now, I try to leave work at work and make the most of my free time. 24. Overcoming procrastination. Procrastination is something I've struggled with for years. It's easy to put off tasks, especially when they seem daunting or boring. I used to tell myself, I'll do it later, but later never came. The result? I would end up rushing to finish things at the last minute, feeling stressed and unprepared. Recently, I decided to tackle my procrastination head-on. I started breaking big tasks into smaller steps and setting deadlines for myself. Slowly but surely, I've become better at staying on top of things. Overcoming procrastination has improved both my productivity and peace of mind. 25. The beauty of nature. There's something incredibly calming about being in nature. Whether it's a walk through the forest, a day at the beach, or just sitting in a park, nature has a way of making us feel more connected to the world around us. I try to spend time outdoors whenever I can. It helps clear my mind and reduces my stress. I've also developed a deeper appreciation for the environment and the need to protect it. nature reminds me that life is bigger than the daily grind, and sometimes we need to slow down and enjoy the beauty around us. 26. Facing your fears. Facing your fears is easier said than done, but it's one of the most important things we can do for personal growth. I've always had a fear of public speaking. The thought of standing in front of a crowd and delivering a speech used to make me feel nervous and anxious. But I knew it was something I had to overcome, so I started taking small steps. I practiced speaking in front of friends and family, and eventually, I signed up for a public speaking course. It wasn't easy, but with each experience, I became more confident. Now, public speaking doesn't scare me as much as it used to. 27. Building confidence. Confidence isn't something that happens overnight. It's something you build over time. When I was younger, I often doubted myself and my abilities. I would hesitate to take on new challenges because I was afraid of failing. But as I grew older, I realized that confidence comes from pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. I started taking risks, trying new things, and learning from my mistakes. Each small success helped boost my confidence, and now I approach challenges with a more positive mindset. Confidence is like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. 28. The importance of kindness. In a world that can sometimes feel cold or competitive, kindness goes a long way. I try to practice kindness in my daily life, whether it's helping a colleague with a project, listening to a friend in need, or even just offering a smile to a stranger. It's amazing how small acts of kindness can brighten someone's day. I've found that being kind not only benefits others, but also makes me feel happier and more fulfilled. Kindness is contagious, and the more we spread it, the better the world becomes. 29. The art of cooking. Cooking has always been one of my favorite pastimes. I love experimenting with new recipes and trying out different ingredients. For me, cooking is not just about preparing a meal, it's a creative process. There's something satisfying about taking raw ingredients and turning them into something delicious. Over the years, I've learned to appreciate different cuisines and cooking techniques. Whether it's a simple dish or something more elaborate, cooking brings me a sense of accomplishment and joy. It's also a great way to bring people together over a shared meal. 30. Taking time for yourself. In our busy lives, it's easy to forget to take time for ourselves. We get caught up in work, family, and responsibilities, and self-care often takes a back seat. I used to feel guilty about taking time for myself, but I've come to realize that it's essential for my well-being. Whether it's reading a book, going for a walk, or just taking a few minutes to relax, self-care helps me recharge. It's important to remember that taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's necessary to be able to give your best to others. 31. Traveling alone. There's something freeing about traveling alone. It gives you the opportunity to fully experience the world around you without any distractions. I remember the first time I went on a solo trip. It was a bit nerve-wracking at first, but as soon as I started exploring, I realized how empowering it was. I was able to set my own pace, visit the places that interested me, and spend time reflecting on life. Traveling alone is not just about discovering new destinations, but also about discovering more about yourself. 32. The joy of learning. Learning is a lifelong process, and I've come to embrace it as a source of joy. Whether it's picking up a new hobby, reading a book, or learning something completely new, I enjoy the feeling of expanding my knowledge. Every time I learn something, it feels like I'm adding a new piece to the puzzle of life. It's exciting to think about how much there is to discover in the world. Learning keeps my mind sharp, and it also reminds me that no matter how much I know, there's always more to explore. 33. Embracing change. Change can be scary, but it's also a natural part of life. I used to resist change, holding on to what was familiar and comfortable. But over time, I've learned that change is necessary for growth. Whether it's a new job, moving to a different city, or even just adopting new habits, change can bring new opportunities and experiences. Now, instead of fearing change, I try to embrace it. I see it as a chance to learn something new and challenge myself in ways I hadn't imagined before. 34. The importance of family. Family is one of the most important aspects of my life. No matter what happens, I know I can count on them for support, love, and guidance. I've learned that family doesn't always have to be blood-related. It can also include the people who have been there for you through thick and thin. Family is about creating a sense of belonging and unconditional love. I make it a point to spend time with my family as often as I can, because they are the ones who truly make life meaningful. 35. Finding your passion. Finding your passion isn't always easy, but it's one of the most rewarding things you can do. For a long time, I struggled to figure out what I was truly passionate about. I tried different hobbies and explored various interests, but nothing seemed to stick. Eventually, I realized that my passion was right in front of me the whole time. I just hadn't recognized it. Once I discovered what I truly loved doing, everything else fell into place. Now, I wake up every day excited to pursue my passion, and it's made a huge difference in my life. 36. The importance of setting goals.